Welcome back to the Makers Making Podcast. I'm Alex. You all know me. At least you should. You're on my channel, I guess. This week, we've got another new guest with us, but we're gonna work our way around counterclockwise, and we'll get to him last but not least. Canrog, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. So I'm Canrog, also known as Canrog Creations. I design stuff, make videos about it. That's pretty much it. It's not that difficult.
All right, I'm next then. So online, I go as Howi3 Dewit. Real life, Brad. I am just a maker. Um, I kind of hang out with these guys, learn a lot of things from everybody, and build some printers, build some projects, and just talk to everybody.
Cool. I'm Daniel. I own West3D. It's a 3D printing retail store. We started off before on the DIY space. Now we kind of sell a lot of different 3D printing things, accessories. Also, Ambrosia Filament is our brand, if you've used that before. I'm only going to be here for about half hour, but I think next week, hopefully, I plan to be on for a little bit longer. And I know we've got some cool stuff to talk about. But yeah, hey, it's nice to meet you guys.
Appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us for a little bit.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the show before, it's just roundtable discussion. There's not a whole lot new that kicked off this week. So, did we talk about the Creality Spark last week? So, I guess I was looking at it a little bit, and it's a bit of a kind of a Creality's answer to the A1. And I don't have an A1 or anything, but it definitely right around the same price range. So I guess it kind of, what brand do you like the best kind of thing. But I hear good things about it.
The only complaint I've heard about it so far, I guess, is where the cable comes into the tool head. I guess it's in a position where it easily snags on the gantry and makes it skip. But
I mean, if you look at the picture, I can totally see how that's a possibility. Not the PTFE2, but basically
tool board
yeah.
cable.
I mean, the tool head cable.
Yeah,
I can see that.
But I feel like that's a problem for a zip tie.
Yeah. I mean, and that's an easy fix. I mean, that would be something that, if that ends up being something that they're getting a lot of claims on, like that's a super simple minor revision. Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. We don't do a lot of Creality, and mostly, I mean, this style is hard. I like the K2 and those types of printers because I think that Creality did a pretty fine job. If this is like the A1, I mean, this might be really good. I think, the A1 is a really nice printer. There's some things that are not the greatest, but I mean, it's a solid printer. And I know a lot of people that would take an A1 over a P series printer. It's good. For me, I mean, this design is kind of tired. I much more prefer some of where things are moving to the Core XY. I much prefer, and I think that there's a lot of other printers in this price point that are starting to do that. If you look at like the 85X, the Flash Forge, for instance, it's the same price. It's Core XY. I mean, it would be one to look at. The little like 4-in-1 PTFE system that's in that tool head is also shared by a bunch of different other manufacturers now. So I feel like there's a lot of this.
It's the Cobra X, which is about the same machine.
Yeah. And I mean, it does go down to maybe that, who you like better. I mean, yeah, I am interested. I do think
right
the CFS, the new CFS, looks pretty good. So I mean, that might be a plus or an improvement. I definitely like the idea of having a separate accessory and something that is not necessarily like tied to the printer, something that's enclosed. You could use as a dry box, potentially.
Yep.
We lost him.
We lost him. There he is. He's back.
You lost me for a sec. We got too many things running here.
Yeah, I think
that's better.
What we're seeing right now is something that we've seen in a lot of different industries, where at some point you kind of get to where technology has kind of caught up to us. So right now there's not a lot of huge innovation. Like if you look back like 5-10 years ago, there was a lot of innovation just in motion systems and how firmware works and what we can do with all that stuff. But now we're at the point where it's just small increments.
I
And that
agree with
means that
John Doe.
a lot of the printers are sort of similar, so it's more of the ecosystem around the printers, not the actual printers itself, that decides what's better for a user.
Yeah. So, John, I understand where you're coming from on that, and I clearly you're going to have a lot of people that agree with you, but I think there's something to be said for the simplicity for a user to get into, especially a new user to get into.
Saying that,
right? So the amount of people that buy a printer and never print anything other than PLA and PETG is an exotic material for them. That's a lot of who these products are for. You got to remember that the market's large. Like, and I'll be honest, back in November when Bamboo was having their, crazy sales, like I really need a printer that does multicolor reliably. I just printed out a project and had to do it in single color because, despite all the different systems I have, I didn't have anything I could trust to do a print that needed 1,000 color swaps with, over 2 kilograms of filament usage. I couldn't run the risk of that failing. So even an A1 with the AMS light at 350, when 95% of the time when I print multicolor, it's PLA, that fills a need, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I think the design, the Core XY is so cheap now. I mean, if you're talking, it's maybe $20-$30 difference at this point, I feel like, between the designs. And I don't know. You see a lot. The new Spark that you're mentioning, the i7, I think is a 260 by 260. So it's actually a pretty decent build size. But if you look at like the, what their current, I forgot what it's called. What's the one that they came out that was also kind of like the Bamboo?
what, their K2?
No, they came out with another bed slinger that was for multicolor.
Oh, Creality High.
Yeah, the High
co-print.
I mean, you're still dealing with a lot of these 235 by 235 build plates, Ender 3 size style. And with the bed slingers, I mean, you end up actually taking up quite a bit more space because that bed's moving back and forth. And to get your full, 250, 255, you're talking about a 500 millimeter envelope that you have to account for. Whereas you can literally have a 300 millimeter by 300 millimeter Core XY fit in a smaller envelope that will actually fit on your desk without, poking your kid's eye out or whatever when they walk by.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
I hope they keep the
I do think
size alive so I can keep getting the build plates cheap for my NG.
I mean, I'm looking at the page, and I mean, it definitely looks like there are some cool things. A couple things like I just took apart a K1 the other day, and like just removing the hot end was like you got to take off the front tool heads. It was just a lot more involved. It obviously wasn't made to like swap out very frequently. So having the features like a really quick swap hot end, which looks like it's on some sort of hinge system, is kind of nice. Putting in a lot of the what do you call it, like print failure detection, stuff like that is also nice. I do feel like we are in a situation where the technology is there. All of the manufacturers are able to replicate the technology. Where some things are falling apart, and Bamboo, whether you like them or not, I think has done really well at this, is how to make the ecosystem work together. And things like the Creality, I forgot what they call it, but the cloud based printing software and things like that just haven't quite felt the same as using Bamboo Studio and Maker World. So I feel like it's that piece. It's Tesla and their computer system that's built from the ground up versus Ford that is running basically a UI over something that they've built up over 2 decades.
Yeah.
That's
As
what I feel
someone who
like.
spends a lot of time helping people work through issues in Clipper, and I spent a lot of time helping people work through issues on their old Ender 3s in some communities, and then into helping them work through issues on their Bamboo. The barrier to entry for a lot of people is learning all these different things, right? And a company like Bamboo that just takes it and says, here, I'm going to make it really simple for you. Yeah, there's some limits with that, right? I mean, you're going to work in our ecosystem, but a lot of people that pick up a Bamboo printer don't care. They want printed thing, and they want to be able to do it easily, or they want their kid to be able to do it without them having to learn how to program stuff to help their kid out.
Yep.
And so there's clearly a market for it.
Yeah.
They make a ton of money and sell a ton of printers.
We do a lot of
I do
repairs
think we
on
need
them.
to get away from the whole it just prints verbiage, though, because it is a machine and they do break and people do have problems with them and they do go looking for help for them. I think it's more accurate to say very user friendly.
Yeah. And it's the same way, so there, when people started off with Enders and immediately had to learn all this stuff, or they start off with a Bamboo that probably, 95% chance that they take it out of the box and it does just work. Yeah, it might break down and they have to learn those things later, but they're a lot more likely to stick with 3D printing and learn how to fix their
Yeah,
Bamboo if they've been able to print
more than
500
2 prints before it
models
falls apart.
than somebody that bought an Ender, never even managed to get it to print one print, and just threw it in the corner, and there it sits for the next 5-10 years until they clean
So I
out
buy
and
it on
throw it away.
marketplace.
So the last time I had a conversation with someone who was relatively new to 3D printing, they said they bought a Bamboo Carbon X1 Carbon probably 6 months to a year after they initially got them on the market, and they said that they've never had a problem and it just works. It still just works. They've never changed anything, never done anything.
Yep.
And then I asked them the important question: how much do you print? And the simple answer was 1 to 2 prints a month. So
Yeah, so they've used it 10 times.
yeah. And then I tell them, well, I have printers that print continuously, 24/7, all day, all night.
Yeah.
So the use case and the wear and tear, it's completely different. A lot of that is just
Yeah.
based on how much you're printing.
Hours.
If you have a printer that you sometimes use versus someone who prints pretty much every day, all night, there's a big difference in wear and tear and how reliable a machine's going to be.
Yeah.
Because if you get 1,000 hours on a machine and then someone has 100 hours on the same machine, you might see different results.
Yeah. But that proves my point exactly, right? So there's a bunch of different markets, right? A bunch of different consumer demands and what they expect from a printer and what they're going to use said printer for. And you've got products that fill all those needs. You know, you've got your Toyota Corolla, and you've also got, you know, your Toyota MR2 coming out. You know,
So I
one's
have
for one person, one's
so
not.
I teach CAD just on the side, and I have a lot of students tell me that they've had a printer and it's just worked, but they've mostly been relying on sites like Printables or MakerWorld, where they can just get the G code and send it straight to their printer, because they don't do any slicing themselves. They just download the ready file, send it to the printer, and that's it. And then when they start talking to me and about designing for 3D printing, and they realize that there's a whole different side that just slicing can make a huge difference to both your print quality, your material use, and how everything actually works. So a lot of these CAD lessons, I've had to kind of transition it over to slicer lessons, just because there's so much you can do. Like I have, just as an example, I had someone who had a printer for their business, and they used it to print prototypes for what they were making in another material. And I said, well, so this is going to take this long to print on one of my printers. And then they sliced it on their printer by using just default settings. And their slice was like 14, 15 hours. My slice was like 3. It's the same exact part. And it's just a prototype. So it doesn't need to be functional. It just needs to be the same. Like the dimensions need to be correct. And he never even knew that that was an option. Lower your infill, lower your walls, and be able to save material and a lot of time. Like he said, he would start a print in the morning, and then the next day he could come in and check it. But with the new slicer setting that I helped him set up, he can start the print, and then at lunch he can test it. So that saves him a full day of work.
Yeah,
well, there's wait for that printer.
There's a lot of them that when they go through the various printer ecosystems, all you're really getting is a 3MF that somebody else did the slicing on, and it's your same machine, and you're just loading that in through your phone or whatever. That's the pre-sliced, so you got to hope they did it well.
Yeah.
I spend so much time rallying against that with folks. Like, listen, I understand that it's your same machine. Slice it anyway.
Yeah.
Download the STL and slice it yourself.
Well, do you have the same nozzle in the machine? Do you have the same amount of hours on the machine? Maybe you got an old one. You got to run it a little slower. There's factors.
Also, how good is the guy that set it up and sliced it? How much does he know about setting up slicer profiles?
Maybe I sliced it and you're in some trouble now.
I don't trust that stuff. I always, like, even if I've downloaded stuff off MakerWorld, I have a Bamboo in the garage. I think there's tools for different things, right? But yeah, I mean, if I upload the 3MF as a project, I am definitely looking at the settings and trying to figure out what they changed and like if that made sense for the print that I'm doing. Usually they're pretty good, but I think there's definitely some knowledge that is lost. And I will say, like you said, I think there's a market for everything. I think bamboo and that market was the untapped market. It was the market that, Creality and all of these companies that were kind of at this race for the bottom, let's make the $100 printer and make it accessible financially, kind of forgot. The
They were
challenge
always
that,
trying to clone Prusa until Bamboo came along and said,
yeah,
"Well, we can do better."
yeah, and I think it's one of those things where it's great. It's getting people in the hobby. I think you can say it's more user friendly when there's an error. I mean, I got a QR code, I could scan it. It kind of walks you through. Here are the 5 different things you should check.
Yeah,
It helps you learn if you're willing to learn. I think part of the issue that we've seen, and we do printer repair, is that there's a lot of people that will get the printer. It will work fine for 2 months, and it is a machine. It's still
yeah,
something that is going to require maintenance. It's still something that you can mess up. If you
yep,
forget to clear the plate and press print, you're going to have a bad time. If you
yep,
didn't clean your plate, you can get a blob of death. I mean, all
yep.
of those things happen. And I will
Audits,
say that there are people that have those things happen and then don't know what to do. And I
yep.
think that's what people that got into printing even 3 or 4 years ago don't have that issue because they've had to deal with that, that
Yeah.
clog, or they've all had a blob of death. I mean, everybody's got that. And I think there's people that are willing to do that. And then we get people that come in that's like, oh my gosh, my printer broke. They said this thing would be easy. And it
Well,
is easy, but it doesn't mean that you just you absolve yourself of doing the basic, work, and it still needs work.
Yeah.
yeah.
But at the same time, how many times did see people on like the Voron Discord, build the Voron and then complain that their prints look terrible. Like,
But they didn't tune it.
and they're like, well, everybody told me these printers were fantastic. Well, they can be,
If you
but a
build
lot
them
of it depends
right.
on you.
Yep, you got
And
to
it's the
build it.
same thing with bamboo or Creality or any of them. Like, yeah, like the machine can do it, but a lot of it depends on you. It,
You got to
and
tune it.
where those problems come up and people's willingness to deal with it, uh, it varies. And uh, it's an amazing hobby, and I'm all for anything that gets people in the door and gets them to hang around long enough to want to put in the work to learn
Yep.
what they don't know. And some people, are people that are, when their car needs an oil change, they change their own oil. Some people, are going to take it over to the Jiffy Lube and have them do it for them, right? So some people are going to be, learn how to fix their bamboo when it breaks. Other people are going to, take it over to Dan and have him fix it. It's
Yep.
one's not inherently better or worse than the other. It's just different ways people want to deal with it.
Good morning, all.
Hello, hello.
What's up, heathen?
Not too much.
Hello?
Well, hello, Daniel. I don't think we've ever met. Hi, Brad.
I don't
Hey,
think so.
Kay.
What's up?
Hello.
Hey, Alex.
How'd the V0 end up doing on that print last night?
Still a little off center. Needs to move more to the right, but that's okay. I'm running the full build plate again, trying to get that full build plate production done. So,
Well, if it all fits on there, who cares if it's perfectly centered?
I do.
Right.
So, does anybody know of any other news things other than the Corelli Spark? I mean, CES happened, but I didn't really see very much as far as our hobby goes that came out of there.
Now that was really it. Was the i7 that Cobra X, I think they're calling it, and what's the one with the 12 nozzles that they're kind of mounted in a circle and spins around? That one was there.
Oh, that's
I can't
cool.
remember what they call it.
I didn't see that.
I'm not familiar with that one. I did see they had printer that was that had a build plate that was. Let me see if I can find the picture.
5
But
axis.
it used like a plate that looked like film. It had like little notches on the side of the plate that could print basically dynamic Y, and it was run by like a belt. So it was a belt system that could just keep pushing this plate, and you could keep feeding a plate behind it to make things as long as you wanted. That was kind of cool. Let me see if I can.
Instead of using a normal belted printer, you would just put a PI sheet on the belt.
Yeah, and it basically had notches that would line up with the teeth on the belt
To sort of hold it.
Yeah, move it back and forth.
That's actually kind of smart, and it solves some of the issues with normal belt printers.
Yeah.
Okay, I found that 12 nozzle printer.
Is that the Atom form?
Yeah, that's the one that I found.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
I just put a link in chat.
We gotta find. Jason from LDO sent me that thing.
David, I did see Grant's video on that, but I'm pretty sure that as far as business names go, you're only granted that for the state that you're in as an LLC, and definitely not worldwide. So, yeah, I don't think he has a leg to stand on there. But
what was the
at
question?
Sit back and collect the internet.
At the same time, is it bad form? Yeah, but
Why is it bad? I don't understand the big issue with all this, nor do I understand the care. Why is it bad? I don't understand.
I think it'll end up bringing him internet traffic he wasn't going to see necessarily.
Yep.
What comment did I miss?
So 3D Musketeers, Creality, did something with 3D Musketeers with that new Spark printer. My bigger complaint is him telling everybody to use ammonia to clean their bed.
What?
Yeah.
Don't mess with ammonia and
don't use ammonia to clean your bed. Okay. 2 reasons. Number 1, if you have acrylic panels, you will very quickly find yourself without acrylic panels. And number 2, ammonia, when added to oil, doesn't clean oil. It just makes soap, which,
well, it depends on the oil,
don't stick to that either. Right.
Well, it's the same thing with, people use isopropyl alcohol as their sole bed cleaner, which is great. It cleans, but it doesn't degrease. So you're spreading grease around.
Right.
Just use dish
It's like
soap.
the most common thing we see.
Yeah.
If your bed plate needs clean, take it inside, clean it with some dish soap, water, dry it off, put it back.
That's the printer at CS. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna get the slide out of the way.
I haven't used ISO for a printer for about 10 years at this point.
I love that.
ISO with resin, sure. I get it.
With resin,
like suspend the resin, sure. But the simple truth, hot water as hot as you can handle out of your tap, and a little bit of dish soap and a mild Scotch-Brite pad. That's it. There's no fancy way. There's no catch-all, but that will wash off glue. It'll wash off material byproduct, and it will wash off oil. That's all you need. But hot water being the key, because if it is an oil becomes more suspended in a hotter solution than it does in a cold solution.
Yeah. Now I will say I do use ISO on a bed, but I don't use it to clean the bed. So I put bed adhesive on there with it's Frank's goo. Dan, do you make the precursor stuff to make Frank's goo?
We don't actually. It's one of the things on my list to talk about.
I just made 2 gallons of it.
What you want to watch with the ISO is these cool plates, like the BICU blue cool plates. That ISO will eat them alive.
Yeah, those are PLU usually. So and they smell like They smell like a paint shop. And yeah, the ISO will destroy those real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, what I use ISO for is I put some of, you know, goo, or if you're using Vision Mine or Nano, whatever it is, and in between prints, you spray down the bed again. It dissolves that adhesive back into it a little bit, and
Yeah,
then just
refreshes it.
spreads it back out over your
Yeah.
bed,
Levels
and you're
it.
good to go again.
Armor's right. You listen to what the manufacturer says, but just as a typical, like, let's be very, very clear about this. As a typical result for any bed, hot water should not hurt it. Hot water and a mild detergent should not hurt it. But again, I agree with Armor 100%. Follow manufacturer spec. But remember, isopropyl alcohol will lift almost everything.
Yeah,
So not
but
even
you got to you
layer,
still
right?
got to wipe it off, right?
Oh, absolutely,
But
100%.
yeah, I agree. Like, follow manufacturer's recommendations. But my thing is, if you're going to be spraying ammonia or ISO into a printer, be aware that both of them affect acrylic panels. I'm not sure about polycarbonate. Clearly, if it's glass, it's whatever. But uh, uh, ammonia will annihilate acrylic. If anybody does anything with like aquatic fish tanks and stuff like that, you know that the second you put acrylic, your ammonia cleaner onto your fish tank, you're on a very short clock for when your fish tank is going to dump its water all over the floor. It destroys acrylic.
Well, and something else that happens a lot with printers that people don't really think about or realize, because a lot of people got them in their basement. You want to stay away from your dryer, and especially the fabric softener, because that dryer lint has fabric softener in it, and the whole point of fabric softener is make things slippery and not sticky.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's heat activated oil.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. It's a heat activated oil, which then goes into suspension until it reaches a certain temperature, and then it settles again.
Yeah. I had a neighbor who's like, man, I can't get anything. Just take my plate. And I walk down and take a look, and it's just dryer lint all over everything. He's next to his dryer. There's like a little hole in the duct, and dryer lint blowing around. I'm like, dude, you got to fix that. That's your problem.
Well, and ambient humidity, like where I'm at, I range this humidity of 70 to 100% every day, and that's generally why my material always runs hotter. That's why my bill plates are always hotter, and that's why I always put my material down quicker, because that's the vast amount of humidity ends up being a huge issue.
Does Shrek show up and ask you what you're doing in his swamp?
Right. It's pretty wild, man. I'm like a half hour from the coast, so it's pretty serious.
I'm in the North Sea.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you know what it's like. But it's colder where you are. It's actually very mild here.
It's hotter than people think, but yeah.
It's 15 degrees out.
Yeah.
In January.
It's
15
4
Fahrenheit
C plus right now.
15 Celsius.
Oh, are you 15 Celsius?
Yes, sir.
So just to put my location into perspective, if you go to Alaska and then drive for an hour north, that's the same longitude that I'm on. So I'm higher up than Anchorage, Alaska.
My
friend, you can keep that stuff.
I think ASA in general is less sensitive to moisture. I don't quote me on it because I'd have to go and look. But there's something about ASA and moisture, and the coefficient of moisture per index of temperature is different on ASA than anything else. But it's that styrene, right? But don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that.
It's still, I mean, it's still hygroscopic.
Yeah.
The particularly, I know Nick is mentioning our Dolos filament, which has an additive, which is like that iridescent powder. You can see
Okay.
Cookie Cat's got some, Flash Forge has some. It's those kind of, they're really cool looking. But that particular additive makes it much more hygroscopic. In fact, even the PLA that I have with that, if it's been out for more than like 2 weeks, I dry it again.
I was surprised how well the PLA did, though, because I did that entire mammoth rig, and that was what 8 kilograms of your Dolos PLA, and I was able to take that out of the bag and print it, no problems, and I had no issues with that. The PLA is
Yeah.
rock solid.
Well, so we
The ASA
started
I did have to dry though.
since our second batch. We started doing an extra drying cycle because we had some filament that came through that I felt was too wet, sort of out of the bag. And so a lot of manufacturers, I think, to speed things up, will extrude the filament, which goes through a water bath, and they'll do like a really quick flash dry and then bag it. Um, we do a full drying cycle. It's like 16 hours or something like that afterwards. And then everything that's hygroscopic now goes in a Mylar bag. Everything outside like PLA. I mean,
Yeah.
even PLA is hygroscopic, but you know what I mean. So the idea is that you get something that is reliably dry out of the bag now. I'm sure there's still some exceptions, but that's something that we put through because that's an issue. The Dolos is one of those that, yeah, you probably got some too that was double dried.
I also find that if you print the Dolos ASA at a slightly lower temperature, I print mine at 240, where most other ASAs I print around 260.
Mhm.
It does much better, and printing it slow and at a lower temperature, and I don't have those issues unless the filament's been sitting out for a while, like days. I don't have that issue with it. And when you print it slower, the finish on that is so crazy nice.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I I have a Rapido 2, the PT1000. I don't know if you guys like heard or remember, but they had an issue where like the temperature reading is off by a considerable amount. It was a defect in the product. I'm still running that. Like it's consistently off, so I tuned all my filaments. I didn't want to redo it, so I just left it. But yeah, I print the ASA
Kind
at
of
like
fudge your temperature numbers to match.
yeah. I
Hey,
do like 230, and I'm sure it's like 270, 265 in
Yeah.
pro
reality.
tip on those: if anybody has the Rapido 2s that have the screw-in thermistor, unscrew it. Take the thermal grease that came with it. If you don't have it, order yourself a tube of the Slice Engineering thermal grease. Don't use CPU
No, never do
thermal
CPU
grease,
stuff.
but fill that hole where your thermistor goes into, and then screw your thermistor in so that the thermal grease is transferring the heat, not just a pocket of air.
Acts like
Because
an interface. Yeah.
because the problem was that uh, thermistor wasn't actually going all the way back to the aluminum, so it was just conducting heat through the brass and then into the thermistor. And like Fadis ended up replacing all the blocks for mine on all three of mine. But while I was waiting, 2 months to get those, I needed to figure out a way to use my printer. So I went from a thermistor reading of 230 with a nozzle reading of 270 with my fluke meter to having a thermistor reading of 230 and a nozzle reading of, I think it was like 225, which is the way it should be.
That's
Your
within,
nozzle should be reading a little bit cooler than your
yeah,
thermistor is.
that's good
And it was
actually.
the other way around before that. So
Yeah.
if you have one laying around, and there's a couple other things that use that same screw in type thermistor, just put some of the Slice Engineering boron silicate
Yeah,
thermal paste in there.
both my Rapido 2 and my Goliath, which I think is even worse for that. After about 265, 270 start smoking. And so usually for ABS, that's about 300 is when you start seeing that. So yeah, there's a good 30, 40 degrees
Yeah.
sort of difference. But it's consistent. So again, I already tuned my stuff and I'm really lazy. So I'm like, yeah, this is good to go.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I'm baking is like PA6 glass. That's the only thing I bake pre-term. If I do get like bad surface finish, I will then go and cook something, right? Better be anywhere from PLA all the way up to ASA or whatever. But the only thing I consistently cook or dry is the nylon, and then the other thing that other people keep forgetting about is like preheating your filament is always a good thing, right? You don't necessarily have to
Yes.
dry it, but preheat filament will always run better. Matter of fact.
Yeah, especially for materials that tend to be a little bit more brittle. Like I was talking about this today with Cookie Cad's the Elixir ABS. It's like the Dolos filament, where it can get kind of brittle, or even like the PPS CFs and stuff like that. Put it in a dryer, heat it, and then run it through your PTFE tube, and don't feed it through an AMS.
So I have a really good tip for someone, and because I figured this out by accident. If you have a computer running 24/7, like I do, my desktop PC is pretty much always on. Just put a roll of filament on top of it. Just it keeps it's a it's a free heater. So I have 2 rolls of filament just always on top of my desktop, just because it's always like 40 C, stays hot for a long time. So I actually removed one of the fans so I wouldn't starve it, but just the heat rising. And so that one of those rolls is a PETG filament that is really hygroscopic, and that I had a lot of issues with. Ever since I've put it right there, I can put it into any printer and it just works perfectly. No trouble
Really?
with it.
There you go.
That's good
Saving
enough.
energy and sea turtles.
Yeah. So that
Right.
that filament is just in my living room, on top of my computer, 24/7, and it just works. I usually just use it when I need to print something like a PTFE clip or something on my flyer that's right next to me, and it's just always dry. So it was a happy accident. I thought that was just a really handy place to put it because it's within arm's reach. And then I figured, oh, I didn't need to dry that after it's been there for 2 days. So
Check out my 32 gig filament dryer.
yeah.
My issue is I need to. So I've got the Sunlu S4, and I got a fixed dry, and then a poly dryer on the box turtle, right?
Yeah.
But I've recently kept running into issues where I needed to dry larger spools, 3 kilogram spools, 5 kilogram spools, and it's like I don't have an option for this. I ended up having to stick a 3 kilogram spool of PA6 CF in my oven in the house all day long at 170.
Yeah.
Like some dryers on the market that take larger spools would be really
They're
nice.
spendy.
Well,
Yeah.
Polymaker
the
did
S4
release the STLs for their housing and their box, so you can adapt it to a container, so that you can take the heater housing from the poly dryer and adapt it to any container. And there's a bunch of people who did a bunch of conversions. Now, 5 kg reels, you're gonna want to rotate that. Like that's the one
Yeah.
thing with dryers that people never seem to pay attention to. You want that. Not only do you want the air moving, but you actually want the material to turn inside the dryer.
ideally, yeah.
And I've sent out like 2 designs to a couple companies. They're just not interested. But you want an integrated scale, and you want that reel to slowly turn, because there is, no matter how well you create a dryer, there's always going to be a hot spot, no matter what you do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
closest to the heater or wherever air gets restricted from moving.
When it stops the turbidity of the air, when you get out of the lamellar flow and you get into a turbulent spot, which
Yep.
every dryer will have because they're not perfect cylinders and anything, but it will catch, and then it'll produce drag, and then you get turbidity, and that ends up being a hot spot.
I think I just got a really good idea. If someone has a computer running in a makerspace, redirect the air from the computer into a container and store filament in it. Because it's air from a computer that's been heated up is super, super dry.
Yeah.
It'll get rid of a lot of stuff.
Just
you
don't
want
restrict
back
the flow
pressure.
so much
Yeah.
your computer overheats.
Yeah, just don't restrict it. But
Yeah.
You don't want any back pressure.
that would be a good setup if you want a dryer, you don't have one, but you have some duct tape in a box.
Maybe sticky another fan on that box to draw through.
Yeah, that
All
I
right,
might
so
try.
it doesn't have the roller. I do think rollers are great, and I know that the Bamboo's done that now with like their at least the HT. I don't know about the MS2 Pro. I think so too. But on the larger spools, you can print like a riser, I think, for the S4 lid that will let you put a 3 kilogram spool in there. So you have an option if you want to go that route.
Yeah, I was looking at that for the S4. You can actually fit up to a 5 kilogram spool in there with
Really?
that.
Okay.
But you also need like 3 kilograms of plastic to print it.
Well, I mean, if you compare with like what the other dryers are out there that do large
Yeah.
dollars, I mean they're expensive.
It's really dry when it comes out of the nozzle, Alex.
There you go. Just run hotter and faster. Problem solved.
I tell you
I
what,
did
when I
see-
heard Maker Millwright say lamellar flow, I'm like, oh, well, what are the odds that there are two fluid dynamic geeks in this conversation?
I did see someone who made an instant dryer that just had a section on their boat or their remote boat and just
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
heating
yeah.
up.
That's not how it works.
No.
It'll
Yeah,
For
I-
someone that
it
works
might
in
work if
plastic
it's-
manufacturing, you cannot.
Yeah,
I
it might
imagine-
work if you have a slightly dry filament, but
But more than
For
likely, you'll
long-term-
start to create the elongations of polymer chains, and then you'll have a completely different issue with your printing where
Yeah.
the material won't stick to itself.
Well, here's
Because
my
once you
public
start
service-
elongating those chains, they stop going from this to this, and then they don't want to stick together.
Here's my public service announcement. The internet is full of people talking about drying your filament in a microwave.
Oh,
Oh
Don't
no.
do that, especially because if you throw a roll of carbon fiber anything in there, there will be an insurance claim.
it'll get exciting really quick.
It will,
That's crazy.
in all the wrong ways.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But there are stories all over the net. People are, let's put it in the microwave. No, don't do that.
don't use a microwave for that.
Yeah. And the other thing too with dryers that I would like to see is the higher temperature drying become the default, right? So I would like to see dryers that default around 100 to 120, and
Yeah.
because it doesn't do me any good to put a filament in there that the dryer just can't get that hot to dry it,
Well,
And
Yeah, I mean,
You also want to
One
use a
of the-
dryer as an annealer as well, right? Like that's you can run in that same world. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Dan's got one. I saw it.
Yeah, no, the filament toaster, and I mean it is literally a toaster because it's. I think there's reasons why manufacturers aren't doing high temp drying outside of like I don't know, maybe there's some safety concern or something, but it's the materials that they're using typically can't handle that, especially those hot areas. So something like a toaster, which is usually steel, and there's aluminum for the for components as well, but they can handle the higher heat. And they already have if it's one that has like the convection and the
Like
air
an air
frying
fryer.
function and all that. They've got a fan to circulate.
Yep.
I mean, they've got all of the components. I mean, really, it's a firmware change to make something that works pretty well. That's basically what we did. Created, drilled 4 holes in the back for a coupler, so you can sort of dry as you print. But we do have a problem. We actually can't do the rolling function, which is something I would love to work on. But it does have an annealing tray. Because, like you said, I mean, once you're that high,
Just
you
throw
can
a hot
anneal.
dog roller in there.
The only problem that I can see with that, though, in today's world, I think it's a product that is needed. I mean, it's like $150, and the next comparable model is like $350. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's there. Toasters are cheap. They're commodity products. The problem that I think we have is that unless you've got some specialty filament spool, most spools are not going to handle that.
Yeah, they're going to be
Most
cardboard.
spools are ABS spools. Some spools are PC ABS. But even that, most of them are not going to go above safely 75 to 85 before they start melting. And in fact, a lot of them won't even go to 70 before they start melting.
Yeah, start to deform, right? Get all wavy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they stop rolling too. Even if your filament can handle it. The other ones that you can find, cardboard spools, they can handle the heat. However, the glue and adhesive that they use typically. So you've got
a hardened edge on it, and they just have some kind of another adhesive that they're hardening that edge with, and then that adhesive comes right off too.
So typically, I mean, there are like clasps that you can print as long as that's a good idea and that will work. And the adhesive dries. I mean, it will cool down and it will re-stick.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. It's very far and few between that use something like polycarbonate as their default for spools, which could handle a little bit higher temperature. If we made a spool, which I was looking at doing, we would do like a PCGF 10 or 20, which would give you, it's a pretty common in injection molding plastic material. But that would give you to at least 120, and typically they rate up to 140. That would be the ideal solution for mass production. No one does it because it still is more expensive than doing an ABS.
What I love about your filament toaster,
even if you just offered that as a, so Dan, hear me out on this, right? If you did that spool and offered it as just a refillable spool that came apart, and you said, "Hey, here's the spool. Take the entire ambrosia spool fit inside of it." So you took your cardboard ambrosia spool, put it inside there. And like you said, the cardboard's not going to ignite at those temperatures. So, just put the entire spool in it.
It's an
Then
idea.
Somebody only has to buy a couple of them.
But so you wouldn't print from it though. It would just be to like hold it together.
Isn't that what the Raise 3D dryer's like though? Isn't it like its own roller assembly where you just dump a reel on top and then it turns? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how their dryer works.
Okay.
Yeah, so it I think it's a good idea. And really, like, as long as you can turn, it doesn't matter if it's vertical or horizontal rotation. As long as it can move the material so it's not stuck in a specific spot, you could just have like a load-in tray where you slap the inner bore where the side flange is sitting against the center bore, and the inner bore is a smaller diameter, and it just rotates internally. Only problem is how are you going to make it big enough to fit a 5 kg reel?
Well, you don't have to. We were just talking about. I was saying it for Dan's product in particular.
Yeah, that's genius. No, that's genius for his dryer. Is like a tray that has a rotary in it. Oh, that's genius.
Yeah, the other solution that I use, but I mean, I get most people are not going to. Someone mentioned it too. We have something called the filament sauna, which is it's an industrial dryer, and that is it's a pretty slow heating mechanism. So there's not a lot of like hot spot, and you can, I mean, it sits up, I don't know, 1.5 feet, 2 feet away from the heating element. And so your filament is actually being held through the middle core. And I've had a good experience drying even cardboard at pretty high temperatures that way.
I wasn't going to bring that up because the want is real over here on that one.
It's something else. I just shipped 2 of them today. It was $390 for one going to Florida, and it was like $350 going to somewhere that was closer to the middle of the country.
So you're shipping one to me then?
No joke.
What's that in Canadian funny money, and what's the shipping on that?
that's like 550 Canadian
plus shipping.
It's something else. But yeah, it's a great dryer. It's just I get that that's not something that if it wasn't something that I had to show in the store, I wouldn't have it. Like it's too much for my use. If I was a business and I was doing a lot of high temp stuff and I wanted something that I could leave completely dry, let run 24/7, because also this runs 24/7. It's fantastic. It's a good value. But
What's the watt hour?
that's actually a good question. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
It will sustain though. Gosh, it sustains up to 90C if I'm remembering that
Oh,
properly.
good
Yeah.
number.
It
Good.
does use a lot of power, I will say. But it's also insulated. I mean it's pretty sweet, but again, it's super expensive.
Get 1 to 110 so I can have an annealing oven, and I think you got yourself a deal.
That'd be cool. The other thing that I know a print farm next to us uses, if you've got a Cabela's, is they use a meat dehydrator like the industrial size ones.
That's a good
and that works pretty well. It also holds like 36 spools.
People are weird though because they don't like that. It's like when I tell people get a toaster oven, just get a medium-sized toaster oven. They just don't like that idea at all.
They want something
At
purpose
all.
made for it.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I get it. I got a toaster oven I bought
sticker
from
on it. They'll buy it, dude.
Goodwill for annealing stuff, but it doesn't fit a roll of filament.
So my workshop is a full apartment that I use just as a workshop. So I have the luxury of having a full kitchen. So I've just used the oven.
Yeah, that's
Normal
yeah.
oven.
As if I'm not jealous enough. As if I'm not. Why you gotta put that on me?
But the only thing that I found out is that if you use an oven, keep the door just slightly open, because it gets really hot. Even though you set it to the minimum setting, it'll still get hotter than that. So I did melt a full spool of filament.
Oops.
Yeah. Oops.
We did that at an Airbnb at Remurf the first year, like a couple of them, and I felt kind of bad.
Oops.
And they were ABS spools. We ran it at, I don't know. It was also the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion was probably off. We had a couple drinks. And yeah.
Well, using an oven for drying, ideally you have a switching circuit so that it's not it's just turning the element on, turning the element off, it's not a constant run thing. That's why they're talking about with the ovens, like most ovens don't have a fan internally as well, so you have to leave that door open so that hot air can escape.
Yeah, I could see that.
Well, the oven themselves have a duct to let the hot air escape.
But you need that cyclonic air, right?
Yeah, they usually have a chute, and they dump it out of the dumbest places, but they do have a duct to let the air through.
I just put one of those little tiny round thermometers that you use on DIY spool filament boxes. I just put that in the oven. Lets me. I spent like 4 days drying a filament, and about 12 hours of that was just me figuring out the right setting for the oven to make it stay exactly where it needed to be. But it did work.
Well, a regular residential oven actually doesn't typically dial down low enough.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't recommend it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
so
the 100C is not 100C.
Yeah. So I was drying nylon, so I was drying at 80 Celsius. So that is okay. I don't think it'll be stable at lower temperature than that.
Yeah. And honestly, your absolute best case scenario would be something with a fan in it, and you're actually controlling the heater on a PID loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the issue with ovens. Ovens generally aren't PID controlled. They're just
bang, bang.
Bang, bang. Yeah. So you're going to overshoot it and undershoot it nonstop.
Yeah, they usually have like a 5-degree range that they're waving around in.
Hey guys, I've got to bounce, but I am back. I think I'm going to come back next week. This is awesome.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
I have a question for you
us.
next week. It was nice to meet you. Be safe, my friend.
Yeah. Sorry, someone have a question?
I do, but it's too in depth. Unless you have to go. Like, yeah. We'll catch
you. You can hit me up on Discord or we'll talk next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Take care.
Lots of love.
See ya.
All right. Bye.
Hey, here was some news we forgot, Alex.
What's that?
Captain Kern's new channel on YouTube.
Oh, yes. So regular guest of the podcast, Captain Kern, due to some issues that information is available publicly if you want to dive into it. But he has started a new channel dedicated solely to the maker maker content that he does. Let me actually grab a link for that. As soon as my thing wants to do anything, there we go. Okay. And where did Chrome go? There it is. There we are. So check out his new channel. Like I said, he's normally a guest every week on the show, and he's moving his maker content over to a new channel.
Yep, he was in the chat a little bit earlier, but I don't see him now.
Yeah. Guys, I'm not like trying to ignore y'all in chat. It's just a function of conversating with a bunch of people on screen and in chat is sometimes hard to keep up with.
I've been kind of bouncing back and forth a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm gonna scroll back on here. If anybody has anything in particular that needed to be addressed.
Well, Cap just spoke up, so he is with us.
Yeah. So, that's all I've got for news. What you guys been working on? Any fun projects you guys have going?
I have a maker fight going. It just started on Monday. I run till the 26th. We're doing Fallout themed items. So we're doing a container and 3 internal items.
Wow.
Because of the new Fallout. So it's all scratch built. It's all hand finished. All that stuff. Of course, I'm working on my Voron because we're doing some funny things with that. Next trick is to get to play some music. And then I got some milling projects coming. But yeah, I'll have on the 26th. I'll have 4 new model kits for release. But yeah, other than that, and usual streams, right?
Yeah.
Fallout's a popular theme at the moment.
Yeah.
My youngest came to me, found a project on printables to make a Raspberry Pi driven Pit Boy, and so I've got all the little bits and pieces slowly trickling in to put that together.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I have Pip Boy written down in here for content ideas. I've got BattleBot. Heathen, you're supposed to get me a link to something.
Yeah, I will.
And I could have sworn I had the Pip Boy written down in here.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah. I ended up making 2 sections.
I'm trying to figure out how to simplify a step file before I open it in the slicer, because it's too big. The slicer won't open it.
That's a mess.
Yeah. Well, it's a full life-size 500-ton chiller that I want to scale down to fit on a build plate and print. So I need to simplify it a little bit.
Little bit.
So I'm I'm working on a
Yeah.
couple of
Yeah,
projects.
it's about the size of a train car.
I just got some stuff in the mail yesterday, technically, but because it's Saturday for me. I got some walnut pie stuff that I want to
What's
check out.
that?
So walnut
Ooh.
pie is a low power version of a Raspberry 5 4. So they have a version of the 4 and the 5. So it's a way smaller CPU and only a 1 gig model. So it's scaled down in specs, but it's the exact same form factor as a Pi 4. So you can use any Pi 4 stuff, or if you have their version 2, you can use Pi 5 stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm gonna be testing this for just Clipper in general, and I might do some other stuff to test it as well. And I also have a little screen that um, goes straight on. So these two together, so the screen and the Pi is $30.
Oh,
Nice.
that's not bad at all.
So if you don't need the full power of a Pi 4 or 5, this is a really good option on paper. I'm gonna test it. So
How
hopefully
big's the screen?
3.5 inch.
Not
And
bad.
is that a touch screen?
Yep.
I hate touchscreens. Oh,
Will the
they're the death of me, man.
will the
One of
touch
my
screen
modders
work with a Pi, or will it only work with their thing? Or can I plug that into a Raspberry Pi?
uh, it should work with a Raspberry Pi, yeah, because their Walnut Pi has the exact same pinout as a Pi 4. So and the
Because
screen is modeled to be an exact copy of the Raspberry Pi screen. So they all should be interchangeable between them.
is a good or not even good, just halfway freaking decent touch screen at a price that isn't $50
Yeah.
would be fantastic.
The number one thing to look for in a touchscreen is that it's not a resistive touchscreen. It's a capacitive touchscreen.
Yeah, the touch screen that I've got on my Micron over there is absolute freaking garbage.
You guys
Probably a
clearly do
resistive.
not weld enough. You clearly do not weld enough. I can tell you right now. That is the reason why my touchscreens don't work with me.
So, if you notice, this garage is missing a welder. It is on my list of things to acquire.
What kind?
But so I really wanted the Miller Multimatic 220.
AC/DC converter, right?
and and then I was like, holy shit, $4,000.
Right.
I
That's
guess
why I
we're
was
going to go.
because it says Miller.
Yeah. I was like, I guess we're going to go ahead and get the Harbor Freight version of said welder
You don't
because,
want
well, here's the thing, right? So I need a welder that I really want to be able to do MIG and TIG. Stick welding's nice, but right now I'm not
You need
the
to
amount
borrow
of
a TIG welder.
Amateur hour in here. Amateur hour in here.
Do you need to borrow a
um
TIG welder? I don't have a MIG. I got a TIG and I got just regular arc. I got multi-process. I don't have a MIG.
Yeah, but you can convert most TIGs to MIG.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
so but
Oddly
I'm
enough,
not
go stick to TIG as well.
going to be doing an astronomical amount of welding, right?
It's drag and drop. It's not a push button TIG. It's a drag and drop, but it
Yeah.
lays down a nice bead.
Start strat. If he can't learn scratch start, then he shouldn't be welding.
I think everybody's got to learn to do it the hard way first.
Well, that's if you're gonna if you like welding.
Yep.
Stick welding is the most common process. It is now being picked up. MIG is now being picked up because suitcase welders.
Yeah.
But if you really want to get into it, you start out with oxy fuel because that translates to all three skill sets, and
Yep.
then you start with stick because scratch start with stick instead of tap start that process works with everything.
Well,
So
not only that, but you tend to get a lot better penetration into the steel or into the metal when you're using a stick. The MIGs don't really penetrate that well. That's why the welds are brittle a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, the occasions that I'm going to be welding heavier steel is probably not going to happen now at this point. The things
Uh,
that I would have done with the stick welder. Um,
I was going to say, if you had a project you needed to whip out over the weekend, man, I got a little guy that can roll down there with me.
But there's a lot
uh,
of boys that are building off-road trucks with like we have Princess Auto, you have Harbor Freight, same sort of
yeah.
idea. They're using like little 80% duty cycle MIGs, and they're
Mm.
building all kinds of stuff. My electrician buddy, that's how he got started. I told him that's not how you weld, but if you can get two pieces of metal to stick together and not fall down, you're good enough, right? Like
yeah.
it ain't rocket surgery.
Yeah,
Being
Yeah.
good
well,
at it is, but getting it done isn't.
you can make nice welds with a MIG, and yeah, there's a use case for it. I just recommend against the Harbor Freight one because it's got a little extruder in there that pushes the wire out, and on those cheapy welders, they don't really grip it the best, so your welds will get all boogered up because the wire is starting and stopping, so you can't stay.
Yeah.
The infeed
I,
wheels aren't very good yet.
I wasn't talking about the like $150,
Yeah.
Harbor Freight one. I was talking about, I think it's, is it Vivor? It's a
Actually,
like 1,200 bucks.
Beaver makes decent stuff. Actually, yeah, that's not a Harbor Freight thing. Beaver makes good stuff.
You can get
Um,
you should go on an auction site and take a look at because a lot of used welders aren't that beat up. The bodies are.
Yeah,
oh,
You might have to change
Vulcan
the
is what
wheels
it
on it,
is.
but they actually the transformers and the inputs and the
mm,
control board are actually normally in really really good shape. They just look a little beat up because they've been on a few too many construction sites.
yep. They're
This
mounted
is
on the back of a van,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
mine.
Yeah. Still
this
works.
is the one I was talking about. I posted the link in chat.
Yeah, let me look.
Which chat?
Just general YouTube chat.
Yeah. Thing is though, right? They're saying 1100. That's gonna be like that's a cheap shop welder, just so you know. Like you don't have to go that crazy, just so you know. Like a 120 MIG will get the job done. You like if you're doing exhaust, and as long as you're okay with an 80% duty cycle, you should be fine. It's like that's unless you're looking to set up a shop, and
So
then
the reason why I was looking at doing this, the original plan was that after my son graduated, he was originally going to be moving out here, and we were going to build a drag car.
okay,
So I would have needed something that I could have welded a roll cage. I could have welded a tubular steel frame with, body panels because I wasn't ever going to be able to afford a fiberglass
Body
body.
panels is a damn good use for a MIG.
yeah,
Right. So
everybody's a good
that
welder with a grinder.
yeah, that had the ability to do stick welding for the frame and roll cage, the ability to do MIG welding for body panels, had the ability to do TIG welding for like exhausts and stuff like that.
Take a look
Um,
at the Yes brand multi-process. It's a pretty good upper end hobbyist type of a welder that
Brad, you
does.
got a link?
I'll
Look
find
good.
you one.
But like this is a shop welder. This you could start your own metal shop with this. Just so
Yeah.
you know. There's
So
nothing wrong with this.
I haven't welded since 2008, but I did spend the entire 2008 only welding body panels for cars. And yeah, MIG is probably the easiest way to go about it if you set it up.
Yeah.
The easy answer is like a MIG will do pretty much everything. You just have to have a deeper root. So you end up with more passes on a MIG. Like with stick, you can get up real big, but you probably don't want to. Stick is just like if you're like what I do, then stick is your friend because you can just stick anything,
Yeah.
right? 60-10, 60-11, and get you everywhere and finish with 70-18. But
I can't put a link in the YouTube.
no,
really?
can you send
I
it in
can't
private
make
chat?
you a mod from here.
Yeah, it's all right.
Send it in group chat so I can look at it. But like honestly, like if you can get metal to stick together, it don't matter how pretty it is. You're not X-raying it. You know, if you're doing a dragster, that's a different story. But even then, you're probably not using stick. Like I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you, you're probably using MIG for everything. And if you want fancy exhaust, and want is a relative term, you're using TIG. But TIG is mostly aluminum and stainless. That's mostly what I've used it for. MIG is for everything else, and I'm just a pig because I just, we live in the scrap steel world, so we end up using stick for everything. But
Yeah.
there's not like even now there's cast rod, right, for doing gray cast and black cast with stick. But that don't mean like a lot of guys will be like, oh yeah, it's super dirty. I don't mind being dirty though, right? So
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, just like you can gas weld aluminum fairly decently now. They've got flux that changes color when the temperature's right, and Lucas Millhop's got the AL 225 rod, I think, where you can put pieces of aluminum together or fill holes. I mean, it's a brave new world compared to what it was just 10 years ago. Even
yeah.
I threw
Well,
that link in the beer fridge portion of the Discord, of Alex's Discord.
it blew me away when I saw cast rod.
Mm.
Like that blew me away. Right?
Yeah.
We
What did
normally
they
would
do
braise.
to it so it doesn't throw little chunks out of the sides at you?
Yeah, like because that's a brazing thing. That's like 100% a brazing thing.
Absolutely.
And when
And
they
hard to do.
preheat, post heat plus cleaning,
Yeah.
and it can be done. And I've done a fair amount of
It
gray
can.
cast, but like whereas like with brazing, it's just preheat.
Yeah.
And don't let it shock. But other than that, you're good to go. But
Yeah, and probably got to flux the snot out of it.
yeah, but flux rod, man, just flux rod it. Who cares?
Yep.
So
Yeah. It's just one of those things I've always wanted. I haven't had one I've never had one of my own. So uh, my dad is a certified welder. Taught me how to weld when I was younger. That was
It's
fun.
handy having a little big laying around.
Handed me a plate and one of the old Lincoln Electric Tombstone welders, and said, "Just keep laying it down until it looks like a gold bar." Um, and
You get a good
then
lobster tail on it, you're getting somewhere.
yeah,
when
once that 7018 starts curling or
Yep.
7024 starts curling, you know you're in the right spot.
Yep.
when I was a goldsmith, rented out the store that I worked for. They had a house next door, and they had a giant garage back there. They rented it out to a welding shop, and they did welding. They made gates and stuff like that, railings, and
Non-structural.
I'd go back there on my lunch break, and they taught me how to TIG weld. And somewhere along there, I learned how to MIG weld from somewhere. But growing up on family farms and stuff like that, you learn how to put tractors back together because they rust.
Hey, I got this little chiller to load up in Slicer. I had to scale it down to 5%.
Alex, I can show you MIG in 10 minutes.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, MIG's easy.
MIG is a hot glue gun for steel, which a lot of people get all hung up on. TIG gets a little fancy, and stick gets a little fancy, but once you get your settings right with stick, it doesn't matter. But learn it all from oxy-fuel. If you can oxy-fuel a coat hanger, you're good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I find TIG to be the easiest process of all of them.
Oh yeah, TIG.
Push pedal stick? Or sorry, push pedal TIG? Not scratch start? Yeah, oh yeah, baby. Oh.
Yeah, well, the one I own is scratch
cups.
start. The one I use at work, is a foot pedal. Or when I'm cheating real big, I got one that's got these heads that you clamp on, and you just clamp it around the pipe, and you hit a button, and it goes around the pipe.
Shielded arc.
Shielded arc, yeah.
Yeah, I love me some sand.
It's total cheating.
Cat crap. Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's pipe guys. Yeah. But I think it's a good idea. Just remember, you don't when you're getting in a cheap welder, either like a Buzzbox or because a BuzzBox will do both stick and TIG. But a cheap MIG with an inverter, you should be able to do everything. But don't if it sticks metal together, it sticks metal together. The only difference is the size of the wire. That's it.
Yeah. See, I have this nasty tendency, right, of scope creep in my life, right? So
Never.
this is why I was
No,
looking at the
no.
this
Not a
is
3D
why I was
printing
looking at the Miller to start with, right? Because I'm like, okay, I could go over to Harbor Freight and I could buy the cheap 150, 250, whatever it is,
Yeah.
uh, little MIG welder. I was like, but I'm not going to be happy with that, and I'm going to eventually, buy a couple welders, and then I'm going to end up with this in the end anyway. I might as well just buy it and
But the
be
nice
done
thing
with
about
it.
MIG, right?
But I had no idea that it was going to be $4,000. So then I was like, okay, scope creep's never going that far. So
Take a look at the Miller Thunderbolt. If I
That's
remember
the
right.
little TIG box, right? That has the inverter on it.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
just TIG or arc with it. Yeah, it's an
guys, I'll be
economy
back in
welder,
1 second here.
All right.
it does a good job. We use them on job sites because they take a pretty good beating, but they work. And some of these welders we got to go rob 3-phase power off of a pump somewhere or something, hook them up and run them. But those little Thunderbolts, you can just drop a cord.
Stop touching my pumps. Just stop touching my pumps, dude. It's not cool.
Well, I install them, so I can pull the wires off and put them back.
Yeah. Every time the welders want to steal power from somewhere or want to hang new brackets, I'm like, I don't know about them apples.
Yeah, I'm a chiller mechanic.
I'm a millwright.
I'm a pipe fitter by trade. So
I had back in my old place, I had a really important print going for a client. So I was printing something that they needed done, and the print time would say that I had maybe an hour from when it's done to he needed it delivered in locally. And so this was like a 6-7 hour print, and when I had 1 hour left, the power went out.
Oh.
Around here, the power going out, it's something like maybe once a year it'll go out, and maybe twice a year you'll get a text message from the power company saying, hey, we're doing some maintenance on your local area, so the power might go down for like 30 minutes. So the power just dropping out is just something that doesn't happen here, and it's also why we don't have UPS on everything. And I got really upset. So the first thing I did was look out the window. Is everyone else affected? And it wasn't. And I could see the reflection in the house on the other side of the street that the apartment above me had power and the apartment next to me had power. And I'm like, oh shit, did I trip a breaker? And then I went out. So this was an apartment, but the circuit breakers were in the hallway outside my apartment. So I opened the door, and there was a painter with his head in my circuit box. And I'm like, what the actual thing are you doing in my breaker box? And he's like, well, I'm painting upstairs and I needed
trying to give
power.
yourself a perm.
Yeah.
So he was trying to plug in an extension cord to my circuit breaker box where there's no connection. So he was about to cut the end of his extension cable off so that he could hotwire in my
Stick it
breaker
into a
box.
breaker.
And I'm like, do you even realize what you're trying to do? First of all, that's illegal. Touching my box, that's illegal. I could just call the cops on you for that.
Without permission.
Yeah. And then the fact that you wanted to hotwire an extension cord inside my breaker box that he had broken in open, so he had broken the locks on it. Oh, I was so mad. So I ended up calling his boss, because this was like right at the end of a normal workday, and I called his boss and I'm like, this guy just tried to do this, and I said I was making something for a client, and it's gonna cost me this much to extend my deal with that client. So I think he ended up paying me like $600, and
Lucky
that
you didn't
all
charge you for the full project. You could have
yeah.
charged them for the whole project, everything, because they've damaged your
Oh,
ability.
that was like about 3 times the price of the project.
Yeah.
So I made
Alex,
money, but the client was upset because he needed that part, so it was super annoying.
that what Mad Dog said
Yeah.
there with the 300 amp machine, that's a serious machine. Just so you know, like you don't need that. You like
No, I know.
okay,
Yeah.
because that's like we used to use that in the factory. Like maybe
Yeah.
not a Chinese made one, but we used in the factories we would use those.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
The main one we use at work is it's a giant miller, but it runs off of propane.
Yeah. So you
It's
move it
got
around.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got Multimatic 220 at work. We've got a couple different little Lincoln MIG welders. We got a bunch of different welders at work that we use too, but
Yeah, but 300 amp machine is like, just so everyone
Yeah.
knows, that's a very big machine.
I don't have 300 amps of surface.
A 300 amp is the stuff that you use to weld like boats together.
Yeah.
And I mean
Plate.
ships.
That's when you're doing plate, yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing plate. You're using big rod, 5/8 rod and stuff. You're using big rod. The hard surfacing project, like some of the hard surfacing stuff that we used to do was like 350 amp, like big stuff, big stuff, and full duty cycle, right? Like, but that you don't need that. Like honestly, unless you're getting serious, like a 120 machine, a 120 volt machine will be more than enough for anything you need.
Well, those 300 amp welders are the ones that I'm robbing the power off your pumps to run.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I'm hooking that thing up to a 100 amp, or a 3-phase, like 460 3-phase or 208 3-phase circuit.
Yeah, so, he's pulling our main lines off pumps and running the legs to a box is what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a really funny but incredible story. So back in 2012-ish, I was a health and safety inspector for a large shipyard. So
you were popular then.
Yeah. So part of that job was to manage all of the what we called fire lookouts, and so this is a really big project. It's like 5,000 workers working on one drilling rig that was onshore.
Sure.
And so we had like 400-500 people that had like a weekend course just to help with the fire prevention stuff. So they all got a fire extinguisher and a radio, and then a weekend course on what to do if something happens and what to look out for. And the course itself isn't tricky. There was no test. You just had to be there for the duration of it. So there was a lot of people that shouldn't be there was there. So most of my work was spent just walking around, making sure they actually knew what they were doing, checking up on new people, and kind of looking after them. But we had a couple of incidents that was weird. But the weirdest one is we had a person that came in. So this was maybe their second week on the job, and you work 12-hour shifts, so you get a lot of experience really fast. And we got a call from like the main supervisor for the entire thing that we had to get to a certain place on this drilling rig as quickly as possible. Like it was an emergency. The first aid people were on their way. We had an ambulance on the way. That's all I knew, and I just had to run. So I ran like a crazy person, and this is an oil rig, right? So there's a lot of places where they were doing maintenance work on where it's normally not accessible. So it's like
Yeah.
through tiny potholes, ladders, and all that stuff. So I
Confined
finally,
space.
yeah, really confined space. And I got there, and there was a guy holding on to this to a person in a corner. I thought that was the incident, and he's like, "No, this is not the incident. This is the guy that did it." And then right next to them was a guy getting some other help, but it was more not as amped up. And it turns out this was a welder. He was welding, doing his job, reinforcing a crack in like 2-inch steel. It's like so a lot of work welding. And this fire safety person who had been working for about 2 weeks saw that the paint caught fire next to where he was working. So they poured water
Oh, fuck.
onto the weld while he was welding.
Yeah.
So in case, for anyone that doesn't know, what that does is it causes all the electricity going into the weld to go back into the person welding.
Yes.
So this guy was pretty much just dead. We did get him back, but getting him out from that place took about 3 hours to get that person out while making sure that he was comfortable. He was unconscious the entire thing. So the person that had poured the water, they were the person was really like upset because they said that they did something right, and was a person that had a lot of emotion. So we ended up having to tie their hands together like this on their torso, and then we just lifted the entire person and shoved them through the holes to get them out as well. Ended up with the CEO of the shipyard, put them in their car and drove them home, and just said, "If I ever see you again, you're done." And then the next day they came back and they're like, "Yeah, I'm just going back to work." No, you're not. You're not going back to work, because they just would not realize what they've done was wrong. Thankfully, the guy, the welder, survived, but he ended up with permanent damage in his arms.
Yeah.
Because this is 300 amp is like the minimum of the welders these guys were working with.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had entire generators the size of shipping containers just supplying power to these welders. It's
Well, they're doing 2 and 3-inch plate, right? They're not.
Yeah.
It's no joke. People don't understand.
Yeah. So these were stick welders where there were sticks, not sticks. Sticks.
Yeah.
The Roger is about the size
more
of like
tree trunk welders than they are
three-quarters,
stick
right?
welders.
Yeah.
It's like a 1-inch
And then
rod.
to have
1 inch
someone
diameter,
come with a water bottle, like a drinking water bottle, and just squirt water, that's enough to just,
Well, and odds are he had 2 hands right there and maybe resting an elbow on something. So
he was laying down in a hole.
Yeah.
We had to drag him out by his feet.
Yeah.
To get him out.
That's the tough.
It is a absolute
you get him on a
miracle that
backboard,
you guys were able to save him.
Yeah, the fact that he survived, I think, is because right next to this was another welder with another fire lookout, and that fire lookout was a certified, like he worked with the Red Cross in his spare time, so he knew what he was doing. That probably saved the welder's life completely.
See, when you first started telling this story, I thought you were going to tell us about him popping off an ABC extinguisher right in a guy's face and stuck in the air out of his lungs.
That did happen as well.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
So the thing that I often had to say is that before you put out any fires, just let the welder know about the fire and let them handle it. They'll do it the right thing. They'll normally just tap it with their arms and that's done.
Yeah, we just slap them out.
They'll just slap it out and keep going. So
and if it gets out of hand, we get out of the way and then you spray.
Yeah, you don't gas anyone with CO2 in a confined space.
Yeah, we normally had.
You definitely don't wash them. You don't wash no welder ever. Yep. And I've welded in the rain. It's not so bad. I've got a couple bites here and there. It is what it is. But the fact that he shorted him out, because he's probably laying in the pool.
Yeah.
Right? He's probably laying down, nice and comfortable, running his bead, and then this guy threw water on him, and he's laying in the puddle, and the rod's still connected.
Yeah.
I'll bet you that's what got him, and it
Yeah.
probably almost cooked his heart.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost had to pass through his chest.
Right? No choice.
Yeah, it went straight through.
Yeah, because he's probably right-handed, and it's probably running down. He's probably laying on it, right,
Yep.
watching the bead hanging out, and it was enough water to remove the insulation of the jacket,
Yep.
and it probably just shorted right through him and then to ground.
As soon as he got water on
The
the
amount of anxiety that this story is causing me.
Oh, I got way worse stories than that. That one's bad, but that one's not. I feel for the guy. He's probably got a little bit of nerve damage, so I hope he's still working. I hope he's okay. But that is not the worst.
When we were done with the project, he was already back to work, but he was not 100%. But he was back to work.
Probably never will be.
Yeah, but he by three-phase?
The thing that he did, and we did cater to this, so he came back and he talked to my supervisor, and he said that I'm never going to work with an inexperienced fire guard again. Just give me the best guy you got, and that's it.
Yeah, just let him sit on me.
Yep, whatever you need, just do your job. That's all you need. So actually, I ended up doing the last 2 weeks with him.
Whatever your lawyer says you need, you got it.
You just sat on him, watched him. I bet you made some small talk from time to time, but you just sit on the guy. All confined space hole watchers are like that. All fire watch, just sit on me. Don't be more than 15 feet from me, and every 5 minutes check to see if my feet are still twitching. If my feet are still twitching, I'm still alive. It's fine.
Will anybody go back to check and make sure that the fire watch guy?
So I did this job for about a year, and I had periods where I had to step in and do the firewatch stuff, and I absolutely loved it. So I would pick the spot that was furthest away from getting back on shore. If you've seen old platforms that are normally sunk down, like they raise them up and float them back into the port. So if you can get in, and then you go all the way in, and then there's connecting braces and all that stuff, get as far into that as possible, like 7 manhole covers in. Bring a bag with some snacks and some music. Just chill out for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Have a blast with a bunch of guys that you can just have fun with. And me
take your
having
eyes off the phone
experience
once in a while.
from welding myself, I knew what they needed. So it ended up being, I just sent the other fire guards away, because normally you would have one fire guard per welder.
Yeah.
I was working with 4 different welders in a space that's maybe 30 feet by 4 feet wide.
Yeah.
Just a big tube. So all I would do is walk around and give them snacks, or if one of them was in a really weird spot welding, I would hear them stop welding. I would just go over and give them the grinder, and just figuring out what they needed. It was a really nice job. Yeah. And I would spend 12 hours in there, even though after 5 hours you had a right to go out and eat a hot food. I would just spend 12 hours in there. It took me 25 minutes, 30 minutes to get in there, so I'm not going to spend.
Right.
I'm not going to do that 4 times a day.
It's a good gig, and if you like the boys you're working with, the boys I love a helper, man.
Yeah, it was.
Sometimes
you
end up
really
working
nice
in a
job.
spot that you don't want to eat lunch because it's tight enough getting in there. You throw a tube in the gut, you ain't going to fit now.
Yeah, you're not going to get back out the hole you got in.
Give me a couple of weeks. I need to lose a little weight to get back out.
Yeah. You never eat lunch in the hole because you want to get back out of the hole.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it was really fun, and I got to do some welding myself because I did have my certificates at that time from school. But it was a really nice job. The only downside being it was 12 hours, and it was a 2-hour drive from where I lived. So it was.
Yeah.
I got back home, ate, slept, got back to work. But for pure fun,
that was my career. That's what I did. Poor Alex, he's all look at him. He's like 3 shades lighter now. He's like, oh, I can't handle that.
No, so
you're still getting that
pretty
welder?
devastating things. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, I grew up around welding. That's not the issue. It's just I've seen some pretty nasty things happen to people, and when you've seen horrible things in your life, And one story is enough to bring all of them back. You know.
It's like farmers insurance. We know some stuff because we've seen some stuff.
The sum of the story
Yeah,
is
unfortunately.
if you're working with dangerous stuff, make sure you trust the guy that's next to you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And if they're staring at their phone all day, get a different guy next to you. In a
Yeah, we
case like
banned
that.
phones on that work site.
Yep.
But this was long enough back in time that like not everyone had smartphones. So
They're not where they are now. Yeah.
yeah. Back then I had a Windows phone.
Oh,
That
fancy.
was horrible.
So what I found is when you're working jobs where it's life or death for people, the camaraderie and the squabbling bullshit just vanishes, man. Because it's like nobody's got time for that. We're all just trying to make it home tonight, and any little mistake is going to mean that none of us do. Like,
It's all about respecting the people around you and the situation that you're in, I think.
Well, that's the thing with apprentices. They come in and they don't know, right? It's the same. We make fun of engineers. We make fun of apprentices because they don't understand. But once they get some time on the tools, they get it. Firewatch guys and confined space guys, a lot of times they're just safety people. They've never worked the trade, so they also don't know. So you just got to be real clear with them. And if they make you uncomfortable, you just get rid of them. Because it's your life, right? There's no money's worth your life. It's just there isn't enough money.
Yep.
That job made some of the most serious stuff that I've seen, but it was also some of the funniest stuff that I've seen. Because if you look at an oil rig, there's a really big tower at the top. So we had some workers that needed to weld at the top of the tower, and I was in the position of figuring out who to send with them because they had to be suspended and lifted up just in harnesses. So I looked around the room and I was looking at one of my guys who was really experienced, who had done this for years, and then I looked at another one who was on his first week and really cocky, and I just said, "Yeah, you." So he got lifted 140 or 180 feet straight up from just a harness. He came down just shaking from adrenaline, and he was like, "I'm never coming back here again."
yeah,
It's a. There's also this thing called a spider deck, which is it's scaffolding, but it's fully suspended underneath the oil rig, and the oil rig is to that point it's about 60 meters, so 100.
It's like 130 feet.
3 feet from the meter, right?
Yeah, 100 and something feet. So the entire deck, everything you're walking on, is suspended from welding clamps to the ceiling with chains. We've had some people just cry. They got there, looked around, figured out what they were on, and just cried. But really, really fun.
That's when you gotta trust your scaffolding guys. That's
that's
when they make their money.
Scaffolding guys are insane.
Yes, they are.
They would hook on a connection, just walk out on it straight out, connect the next one, and I'm just gonna be over here if you need me.
The older I get, the less and less I like heights.
You don't meet too many fat scaffolding guys, and you don't meet too many old scaffolding guys.
I talked to one of them, and he said that he's afraid of heights.
Yeah, but they don't see it as heights, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, well, you're in the wrong trade. And he said, no, because it just makes it so that I'm extra careful about what I'm doing. Because he's not afraid of the height. He's afraid of falling down the height. And if he can eliminate the falling part, then he can work.
Well, riggers are the same way. Anybody who rigs a load, any crane, not crane operators, the guys that run with crane operators. They're they're great. I trust those boys. But when you ask them how heavy is your estimation on that, and they go, well, you see, heavy enough that the dunnage still sticks to it when we pick it up, so damn heavy, you're a little bit nervous, right?
Yeah. I did end my my normal job career in security, and I saw a lot of stupid stuff, but that one person with that water bottle is probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yet.
Yes. Normally, three-phase isn't. It hurts, and it hurts for a couple of days, but it normally won't put you in the hospital unless you get a good shock. But there's you can get a nice nip from three-phase, even just a little jab from it, and you'll feel it for a couple of days. But when you're sitting in a pool of water and you're grounding out through the plate, it's not a good time. No, I don't think so.
No.
Cut 3-phase wire in half with a fucking backhoe bucket one time.
Oh yeah.
It was like the fucking surface of the sun.
Yep.
Probably took a nice chunk out of the bucket too.
Oh yeah, and a pretty big chunk out of the ground too.
Yeah.
She go boom.
I think the worst one I ever saw, it was a transformer that was on the ground in a parking lot. And I don't know who came up with the brilliant idea, but the water main to the school ran under said transformer.
Oh yeah.
Water main sprung a leak, and it basically drilled its way right up straight through and shot to the bottom of said transformer. And I was probably 100 feet away from this thing, and it was just crazy purples and blues and noise. And I mean, I thought the world was ending.
I've seen a digger cut a.
It's something.
I've seen a digger cut a main supply for an office building, and it burnt the bucket off.
Yeah.
Just tore it straight off because the resistance in the joint where the bucket meets the actual arm. Yeah, the operator was fine, but just seeing the entire bucket just sheared off because that's the place of most resistance. It's insane.
So a job site where they put a tooth of a backhoe bucket, I think it was an excavator actually, not a backhoe, but through a 3-inch high pressure gas main. That was fun
yeah.
too. Yeah.
That's an immediate evac, eh? That's a run for the hills.
So the best part of it, right? So the gas company comes out, right? And they're standing next to this hole, and the guy standing right next to the hole pulls out his pack of cigarettes, takes out a cigarette and lights it, right? And fucking everybody's losing their shit. He goes, "There's not enough oxygen here to."
Yeah, you were above the upper explosive limit. You're right? Above the.
He goes, "Now you walk 20 feet that way, you can't. If I stand right here, I can smoke."
Yeah, there's a lower explosive level where there's not enough fuel, and an upper explosive level where there's so much fuel there's not enough air for it to ignite.
Yeah,
but you're also really close to the level of where there's not enough oxygen for you to breathe.
Yeah, you gotta make it 20%, man. You gotta make it 20%.
I've met a lot of people that
really help you out with that problem.
I've met a lot of people that was really comfortable within that zone. You shouldn't be here, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're not dead.
Yeah.
So that's the part that matters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They hit that fucking gas man. The quickness that operator shut off that machine and was, I don't know, blocks away. Like they fucking teleported. Because it hit and it just blew dirt everywhere, and we didn't know what was going on at first because we're standing back, leaning on our shovels, making sure that the shovels were staying upright.
Yeah,
and this guy's just hauling ass out of the excavator.
You see, the shadow of him, right? It's just that cutout, right? The dust of him gone.
And then you just hear the roar of that gas coming out of that line, man. Woo!
Let him hit a wall and just a hole shaped like him, like Wile E. Coyote.
Pointy said he destroyed a Galaxy Nexus using a defibrillator too close to it. Yeah, so
it's literally an EMP. So
yeah, I only have experience with defibrillators once. Went into work and guy I normally smoked with before work. I'm walking in, clocking in. It's the day after Thanksgiving, and the guy I've normally walked to the other end of the building and go smoke with this guy before work, and he just had a massive heart attack sitting right there. And
Is that when
yeah,
you
so that
quit
was
smoking?
no, I was vaping by that point, but um, yeah, uh, it was a bad day.
Yeah.
Big old jammers will make everybody upset. Doesn't matter who it is.
But that's the only experience I've ever had using a defibrillator, and it was one of those like portable ones, That
AEDs or whatever.
yeah,
I have a lot of
whatever it is.
experience with those.
Well, if there's any time in recent history it talks to you, gives you all the instructions that
Yep,
you.
That's
tells you
one
to
piece of
clear.
technology I really don't want to have experience with, but I do.
Yeah,
Oh,
you don't.
well,
It's a bad day.
if you have a jammer, it's one thing because most of the time you collapse and you're unconscious. But if you have heart arrhythmia and they have to do it, you're awake and they shock your heart back into order. That
Yeah.
one apparently is really unpleasant.
Yeah.
That one is not fun. I
Yeah.
can attest to that
Oh,
one.
you're aware? Yeah, apparently that one is not very nice.
I have experience with these kinds of things, and yes, that one is not nice at all. It does fix the issue, it just
Yeah,
not in a fun way.
yeah, absolutely.
No,
But it's a
I've
great
worked
time to
in
shave because all the hair is straight.
someone who was burnt off too.
There you go.
I've worked in security for many years, and part of that job was a lot of public safety stuff. So you were pretty much just there if
Yeah.
something happened. Even like the emergency service would call us instead because we were faster. And yeah, so a lot of situations that, for the most part, luckily went okay. But it's not something that you want experience with. But I'm also glad I do. But
I only had my industrial first aid ticket for 2 years, and after that, I no longer wanted to do first aid.
yeah,
That was enough for me.
I did that for about 6 years.
And then confined space and confined space recovery, only had that for a year. I had one incident, and that was enough for me.
Yeah.
Confined spaces aren't my thing.
Back then it
I
was. Now I wouldn't fit through the holes anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say
You
one
need
of
to
the
make
nice things
friends
about
with
being a
airframe.
fat guy on the job is you don't get into the small spaces.
yeah, that was the thing, right? So like historically, I've always been not only short but fairly skinny, but at the same time with broader shoulders than the big guys, right? And they want me to go. I'm like, I don't fit. Like, yeah, but you're only but I don't fit. I've got broader shoulders than you. Like, you may weigh 250 pounds, but you fit in that hole better than I do.
Yeah,
Like,
the line doesn't fit through the box. It just doesn't fit.
yes,
Yeah,
It goes in the square hole.
that's right. That's right.
I've seen people that had to undress to get through these holes, and then redress on the other side. I had a
Yeah.
guy who just stripped down to his boxers and went all the way in, and then someone else came with his stuff and gave it to him. 'Cause
Yeah.
he needed to be pushed through some of those holes, but
yeah.
Yeah, the
Somebody
guys
call P
that
Diddy. We need to get
weld the
this guy
boiler
in here.
tubes-
so
the guys that weld the boiler tubes usually strip down and jump into a pair of coveralls, and then they crawl through the bunghole on the back of the boiler, and it's not very big typically. And those guys are typically not very big.
we had a deal with this guy, and the simple deal was he was always the last one out because if
Mhm.
he got stuck, that's the only way out. So if anything happened, we would just yeet. We wouldn't bother about him at all. But it did work out. But we did have a really good plan of if something happens, we don't care about you. We're leaving because he needed help to get through because he was so big.
Yeah.
Brad, they were wearing Tyveks in the boilers, eh?
Yeah.
Well, most of the time they're kind of tight fitting, just the Dickies coveralls.
Oh, cottons. Okay.
Yeah, cottons. Yeah, the Tyvek tends to just snag and tear, and you can't really slide through with it.
Yeah.
So
Because we
usually
had
it's
cottons, the fireproof cottons, but that
yeah.
see, I never done boiler work, so it's not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
well, they're in there welding, or they're pulling out the refractory, that kind of thing. So yeah, you can't do the Tyvek either because you're about to start throwing some sparks. That
Get a little
Tyvek
bit
will
warm.
melt to you. It'll just melt to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
wearing
So
cottons. Okay.
We had
yeah.
some cleanup crews whose only job was to come in after the welding was done to clean before
Yep.
the painters came in and blasted everything. Um, those were some guys that I can guarantee you none of the guys that was on that job are still alive today.
Yeah, certain trades, because like the lower you have to go with experience and the lower you have to go with education, the more bottom denominator people can
Mhm.
get into it. So a lot of guys will start there, be at that for 4 months, make some money, and be like, I hate this, and either leave or go up the ladder,
Yeah.
right?
So I remember coming into one of these tanks and because my job was to make sure everyone was okay. So this is a tank. There's only one way to get in, um, and these were guys that went in there specifically to clean. So it's a lot of not good vapes or fumes in there, right? And the safety guy that I had sent in, he was sitting in his corner with his mask on with fresh air because we had fresh air coming in.
Yeah, you have to blow in for air
Yeah,
circulation.
so
Yeah.
directly into his mask, he had fresh air, and he was okay. He had some music on. There was no hot stuff. He was there just to make sure these guys were okay. And I asked him how is everything doing, and he's just I give up. I nothing that I say or do can change these guys. And then I looked over in the corner underneath some other stuff in this tank. There's four guys just laying on the floor, basically just on their backs with their overalls tied to their waists, bare nothing underneath, no masks, and then just woo.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
they were
A little
gone.
bit, little messed up, eh? That's some
Yeah.
brain damage.
So it turns out that these guys went in, started cleaning, and then took off their masks. And that my guy told them, you need to put your mask back on because it's not a good thing to breathe this. And they were like,
yeah.
nah, it's okay. So we had to get them out. That was fun trying to convince these guys that they had to leave, and then yeah, they got shipped back to another country. Uh, for
That's
me,
some brain damage. That's some
yeah.
brain damage.
So I would be surprised that these guys would be alive at this point. Health and safety guys are usually
Well, they're
not the
probably
funnest
drywallers
guys,
now.
but
I'm just kidding.
Brutal. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong, but brutal.
I had to. We were cleaning the inside of these helium chambers one time, and you had us using isopropyl alcohol
Oh yeah.
inside of basically 4 foot by 2 foot by 4 foot deep chamber, and you're in these chambers all day long, and your skin absorbs that alcohol,
As you
and
said,
they were just we're fucking wasted,
goofy. Goofy is what you mean.
uh, and not the fun kind either.
No, no, the I'm gonna be sick kind of drunk. Yeah.
uh, uh, I did that a few times, and then I stopped volunteering for that job. I didn't care how much
Sounds
overtime,
like
double
they could
time,
have
triple time they
been
paid.
benefiting from some ventilation and fans.
Well, and here's the other thing, right? So, isopropyl alcohol, not exactly great for rubber seals.
No.
Nope.
And trying to explain this to people that should know,
Right.
but just didn't care because they could buy 5 gallon buckets of ISO cheap was, I don't know. At some point, you just give up.
I worked in a paint shop for a while, and one of the guys were really old school. So he would go into the paint booth with his mask on. As soon as he closed the door, he took his mask off and started painting. And then when he was going to come back out, he put his mask came out, so that if the supervisor looked at him when he came out, he had this mask on. And he told me fairly sternly that if I told anyone that he didn't wear his mask, he would make me regret that. And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right, boys, I gotta go.
Yep.
I love trade stories. Thank you for jumping in. Brad, it's nice to meet you. Kay,
Yep.
always a pleasure, my brother. And Alex, love you, man. Thanks for everything.
Yeah.
But
Thanks
be
for
safe, boys.
hanging.
See ya.
Yeah, we're at the 2-hour mark, so we're about to cut it anyway. So,
All right, love you both, or love y'all. Be safe. Chat, thanks for keeping us busy. And yeah, I hope everyone had a good time. I know I did.
Yep.
have a good one. All right, so real quick, we thanks everybody for being here. Brad, Canrod, thanks for coming on and joining once again. Thanks to Dan for coming on. He's going to be back next week. Next week's episode, we're going to focus on kind of the business side of what 3D printing is on that side. So if you've got any questions in that respect, feel free to gather them up and have them ready for next week. It's not going to be like, oh, I own a print farm. How do I sell my stuff on Etsy? So fair warning on that. is going to be more of, kind of business of.
You're not going to help me sell my dragons?
No. Stop printing them. You want to have more money? Stop spending printing dragons. I don't know. But then also coming up soon, we're going to have guests talking about designing mods and such for printers. They're going to have a little bit more experience on the boron side of mods and stuff, but we're going to have a conversation on that. Yeah, it's right up your alley, bud. You know a thing or two about that.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
So again, thanks everybody. Hope you have a great weekend. I haven't looked at my schedule, but I should be back live on Monday. Canrog, you just put out a video.
I did last night. Yeah.
On Onshape, right?
Yep.
So go check that out. And
if I missed anything in chat, I apologize, but my computer's unhappy at the moment, and I can't see nothing.
Jerry, I see you in chat, brother. Last night I was digging through DVDs trying to find a copy of something. Can't remember what now, but I found the entire series of Alf on DVD.
Nice.
Nice.
So I forgot that I had that. I got that Dukes of Hazzard, and MacGyver, the original MacGyver, not the crappy new one. All right.
Unaware of a crappy new one.
Yeah, some spinoff with the new Hawaii 5 show.
That sounds awful.
Yeah. Some people love it. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Anyway.
A Magnum PI in there to boot.
I think they rebooted that show too.
Okay.
Yep, they did.
They're out of ideas.
Yeah, nothing's new under the sun, I guess.
Right.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank
Brad,
you,
I will see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
See you later, everyone.
See ya.
Good night.